welcome to today's webinar. I'm Todd Basher, and before I started focusing on New Rocket's product set, I spent 6 years helping our clients build extraordinary experiences on ServiceNow. And today, I'd like to help you take your portal experience to the next level. But first, I'd like to find out more about you. What's your organization's biggest issue with your current portal situation? Maybe you don't have a portal, or you have too many portals. Maybe the experience is inconsistent, or there's poor adoption. Users aren't finding what they're looking for. So please go ahead, take a minute to answer the poll. And if your situation doesn't fall in these choices, please go ahead and put your situation in the chat to give us more context. We found that many organizations want to expand their use of ServiceNow to drive efficiencies into more and more areas of the enterprise. Most commonly, these areas include service providers like IT, HR, facilities, and procurement. As these service providers take advantage of the back end of ServiceNow, they also need a way for employees to interact with them. And this is where the service portal comes in. Unfortunately, we've also found that many companies find difficulties when they start expanding their use of the portal. Imagine your portal experience is a series of roads. As the map becomes bigger, it can become difficult to navigate. Proper construction and maintenance may fail, leading to cracks and hazards. Imagine you're trying to get somewhere and you hit an experience so bad it not only slows you down, but it causes damage. This is anything but a seamless experience. The result of this is slowness, frustration, avoidance. Definitely not what we're trying to do with the user experience. Fortunately, this car wreck of a situation can be avoided. Both employees and service providers can benefit from a great portal. Employees can get the support and information they need. Service providers can deliver services with higher quality and lower cost. When the road is smooth, well planned, and maintained, it can be downright enjoyable for everyone. And this is exactly what we're striving for, an experience built for engagement and efficiency. We want our portal to be the Autobahn or a racetrack, something built for purpose. Not only is the road seamless, it's optimized for the task with banking sides and appropriate guardrails. And this is what I'm going to talk about today: how to take your portal from country road to racetrack. And to do that, I'll cover a few things. What might a seamless portal look like? Why should you make an investment in this area? And how do you get there? But first, I'm hoping we have some poll results. We'll wait just a minute here and see what we have in store in your organization. And it looks like about 50% of you say that users can't find what they're looking for, and about 14% say that there's poor adoption. And these are really, really common problems, and I will address specifically the problem of users not being able to find what they're looking for a little later in the presentation. We'll also talk about ways that you can improve adoption. And interestingly, there's kind of a split where approximately the same amount of folks on the call are experiencing inconsistency and too many portals and don't have portals. So we're kind of all over, and there are various issues that we're going to address here. But certainly what I'm hoping that you get out of this webinar today is that you can have a portal, you can reduce the number of portals, have a much more consistent experience, you can get that adoption that you're looking for, and help users be more successful with what they're trying to do. So let's take a look at what a seamless portal experience might look like. And we're going to start with Employee Center. ServiceNow's Employee Center product comes in 2 flavors, standard and professional. These were introduced in ServiceNow's Rome release. They both represent a really big step forward in ServiceNow's default portal experience. Later in the presentation, I'll go into more details about some of the features available through the Employee Center portal. And it's important to understand that all portals, including Employee Center, are simply a bundle of functionality. The functionality is delivered through components that ServiceNow calls widgets, and those widgets can be used on any portal. In other words, while ServiceNow has packaged these features very nicely in the Employee Center portal, you're able to use those features, the features that you're entitled to, in really any portal that you might have. And this composability is important to understand because it forms the foundation of the Service Portal framework itself. The Service Portal technology has been around for about 6 years, and it gives us quite a bit of flexibility. We're able to take all the great capabilities that ServiceNow offers in portals like the Employee Center, and we can augment them to help meet an organization's needs and their usability and operational goals. And here are just a few examples of the seamless multi-department portals we've helped our clients deliver. You'll notice that each portal is branded according to the client's branding guidelines. And notice that we can rearrange the features on the page as needed, and we can augment the functionality as needed to achieve what's necessary for that particular organization. As is, Employee Center may meet the needs of your organization. And if not, there are ways that you can safely augment what ServiceNow delivers. And I'll cover this in more detail later in the presentation. All right, so those portals look nice and all, but you may be asking if it's really worth the effort to move to a new portal experience. And I'd like to offer New Rocket's perspective after working on literally hundreds of portals. What we find is our clients are looking for 3 essential benefits from their investment in ServiceNow. At a very basic level, they want to increase their ability to meet business demands. And instead of creating their own custom solutions, they want to use solutions that ServiceNow provides. If what ServiceNow provides by default isn't exactly what they're looking for or what they need, they want to be able to use ServiceNow's platform capabilities to then meet those needs. At the same time, they don't want those ServiceNow customizations to get out of control. The argument is that making too many customizations increases technical debt and decreases agility. And that's why we hear so often that clients want to stay out of the box. And I would argue that clients don't want to stay out of the box. The real benefit of ServiceNow is its flexibility. The real goal our clients of the clients is to increase their agility in being able to meet those business requirements while at the same time limiting the technical debt. In other words, they want safe customizations that meet the business needs without having a negative impact on upgrades and future changes. At the next level, our clients want to reduce operational costs. There are many ways that ServiceNow allows organizations to reduce costs. How much your organization is going to be able to reduce really depends a lot on where you focus those efforts and your maturity in those areas. Fortunately, we believe that there's lots of low-hanging fruit. And for example, delivering a better portal that shifts traffic from higher cost support channels like email and telephone support into the portal is a great choice. Better enabling self-service through the portal is another great example of ways that you can reduce that cost. At the next level, our clients want to increase efficiency. You may think this is just another way of saying reducing cost, but I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. Efficiency for one person may actually result in higher costs for someone else. For example, improvements to a road in your neighborhood may make you more efficient, but someone else in your town who never uses that road may be paying higher taxes because of the improvements. Another example would be offering phone support. Picking up the phone for support may be very efficient for staff in your organization, but staffing those phone lines may increase the costs on the support organization. So efficiency is a huge benefit, but it always has to be balanced with the two other benefits of reducing cost and increasing agility. The result of this balancing act in many organizations is a siloed, inconsistent approach to the portal strategy. Organizations believe it's less costly and more efficient to simply set up individual portals for each of the service providers instead of going through the process of really unifying that whole experience. And while there's certainly situations that warrant a very targeted portal and experience, in general, we've seen silos lead to poorer results. And to continue with the road analogy, each portal is the equivalent of its own road. Different things to see, different curves, different potholes to avoid. Just to get started, users must ask, well, which direction do I go? This, of course, assumes that they even know that the road exists in the first place. Once they start on the path, they usually have to turn on their GPS because getting to their destination on this new experience may not be very familiar to them. Since there are more roads to be maintained, things may be in ill repair, or the signs may be different, or the speed limit may be different. These types of inconsistencies in branding and navigation and functionality, even the service levels, usually results in a really undesired behavior from the employees. Users start avoiding the portal in favor of other channels like email and phone. Users get frustrated that they can't find what they're looking for, or the navigation works differently. And then they may even call out those inconsistencies to management, which leads to even more negative attention on the service providers. And then because we have more sites to maintain, these improvements are usually rolled out more slowly and are more expensive because you have to spread that work over many sites. So with this siloed approach, increases in agility and efficiency and reductions in cost are usually short-lived and focused more on the service provider than the employee. A unified portal experience tends to work the other way. There are short-term decreases in agility and efficiency as things are getting aligned. The short-term cost may be a little bit higher since the approach to the portal needs to be a little bit more thoughtful and take a little bit more time. However, long-term, the benefits are usually much more significant. Employee efficiency is going to increase because they're familiar with the experience and have a single consistent entry point for getting their tasks done. Service providers, their efficiency increases because processes are more consistent, and many of the decisions that they would have to make about the portal have already been made. And this better experience usually leads to more engagement. Employees will start to seek out the portal in hopes that it's going to provide the support that they're looking for. And then as employees get kind of a dopamine hit from completing tasks successfully on the portal and more easily, then they're going to adopt that solution even more. And as they start using the portal even more, there's more opportunities to offer self-service. This creates this virtuous cycle where employees want self-service, so the service providers make that available even more through the portal. Another way to think about this is one of the thrills of a racetrack is that after you're familiar with it, you can make decisions about how you're going to get through it faster the next time. And the same thing happens with the portal. We want both employees and service providers to be able to make these incremental improvements with each visit. So how do we build this racetrack of a portal? I have a couple things I want you to consider, and then we'll get into some specific capabilities and demos. The first thing I want you to consider is scalability. Uh, you don't want to build something that needs to accommodate an 8-lane highway when you only have space for a 2-lane road. Where we have space limitations in the real world, we have design limitations in the digital one. And to reduce cost and increase agility, we want the design to really accommodate future growth as early as possible in the process. Tactically, what this means is you need to understand what areas need to be covered today, and then what areas you're going to need to cover 18 months, 2 years from now. Now, of course, your predictions don't need to be completely accurate and perfect, but there is a big difference between supporting 3 departments on a portal and supporting 30. So keep in mind that the sequence of the expansion doesn't really matter that much. I will say, though, that HR portals tend to have a larger feature set, and starting with HR or incorporating that earlier in the process tends to give you a more robust foundation. That said, you need to do what's best for your business. The next thing I'd like you to consider is your operational and your usability goals. As you might imagine, our clients share a lot of these goals, and we can map those against the essential benefits that I talked about earlier. On the one end of the spectrum, we have clients who have extensive, really unsustainable customizations, and they want to get their agility back by returning to out of the box. At the other end of the spectrum, you have clients that want to maximize employee efficiency by increasing the level of personalization on the portal. You can, of course, have multiple goals for your project and want multiple benefits in these areas. And this is really what needs to be balanced in the design phase of the portal project. But note that it is a balance. The most personalized portal is not out of the box. Striking a balance isn't really a bad thing. It's just something that we have to acknowledge at the very beginning. So some of you may be thinking, well, I want all of those things. And I'm not going to say that you can't have all of them, but you are really best served by thinking about it as a journey. Start with a basic road before you create a national highway system. Let's talk a little bit about each one of these goals and kind of the progression that we see. At a very basic level, you want something that you're going to be able to evolve over time. So you do want to limit the damaging customizations to the portal, but know that you're free to augment what ServiceNow has to offer. And many organizations, they're just trying to shift their traffic from email or phone support into the portal because of the advantages that you get there. And as you shift traffic, then your opportunities to increase self-service, improve that ticket deflection, really enables you to start reducing those costs. And as people get more success using the portal, you're going to see adoption increase. And there are ways that we can improve that adoption level through changes to the portal experience. Then we see this shift to not only just doing the basic kind of service management, then we get into more communication and kind of cultural enrichment to the company. And as the use of the portal expands, many organizations want what they call a one-stop shop, or what some customers call a one-start shop, where they have that single destination. And that's really what we're talking about today, is creating that unified experience. And from there, you can really reach those usability goals where you're increasing the satisfaction of the employees and getting into a level of personalization that feels very optimized for that particular individual. So that's a typical progression that we see in terms of what goals our clients have when they reach out to us. Now, they may start at different points in the journey, but we want to make sure that we've accommodated as many of those goals as we can throughout the process. And fortunately, ServiceNow has features that help us reach these targets and these goals. And I'd like to highlight a few of them here. The first highlight is the content taxonomy. This enables us to organize catalog items, knowledge articles, and other content as a hierarchy of subjects or topics in a way that's very meaningful for the employees. And prior to this feature, the catalog and the knowledge base had separate organizational mechanisms, and we really had to perform gymnastics to get both of them to work together on the same page in a very meaningful way. And speaking of topics, we now have the concept of a topic page. Uh, think of this as a landing page for a particular subject. And here we can bring together content so the employee can think less about what type of content it is and more about what's going to be most useful to help them do what they need to do. Another really powerful feature here is around targeted content. And here I'm showing an image carousel, but we have the flexibility to deliver personalized information in various places, both on the portal and even outside the portal. And the last feature I'd like to highlight is the fact that you can support your operational and your usability goals over multiple contact channels. From an employee's perspective, this is just another type of car on the same road. You should be able to get the same, very similar unified support experience, whether you're browsing on the portal or typing in the chat. We want those to be consistent. So before I get into a demo, I want to spend just another minute on the taxonomy. And on a portal, we must support both searching and browsing equally. Your taxonomy is a really huge part of your information architecture. When an employee says, I can't find what I'm looking for on the portal, they're usually referring to a poor taxonomy. So all of you who responded to the poll that's one of the issues, one of the first things you need to consider is how you're organizing the content that you're surfacing from your catalog and your knowledge base and the search results itself. So what this means is that after you've established what areas the portal is going to support and what your operational and your usability goals are, you have to start developing that taxonomy that's going to support those areas and those goals. And this effort to refine your taxonomy is really foundational to the overall experience. We like to say that portals are only as good as the content they surface, and you need to make sure that your taxonomy supports that content well. And of course, our business consulting and our design teams are here to help if you need help with this effort. Okay, so let's take a deeper look at Employee Center and some of these features in action. So here I've pulled up Employee Center, and if you have any questions as we go through here, please post those in the chat and I'll try to address those as we go through. So this is kind of the out-of-the-box portal, and I'm going to walk through a number of features, get a little bit more into the taxonomy. One of the first things you notice is this large image carousel at the top of the page. This is our first opportunity to really personalize the experience and use ServiceNow's ability to understand the users to push content that's going to be most relevant to them. A lot of these are going to be actionable. So if I want to set goals, then I have a nice call to action here that's going to take me into a series of tasks that are available on the portal where I can process those very efficiently. And if you're not familiar with the to-do list within ServiceNow, I would encourage you to take a look and really explore all the things that you can do in this area. You can have people acknowledge policy updates. You can have them digitally sign documents. You can refer them to training. So lots and lots of possibilities here to bring together tasks that may be required by various organizations. Then here on the home page, the search is very prominent in the main section. And as we go down the page, we'll see that we've brought together topics from a number of different areas. Here, we have a very simple example of HR and IT. We use analytics to understand the popularity of these topics, and that's going to float up to the top of the homepage. Because our goal really is to get people what they need as quickly as possible. This is not like a shopping site where we want to keep them on the site as long as possible. We want to let them go in there, get their job done, and go back to their day job. And then we can offer quick links. We can offer videos, links to various applications. So lots and lots of capabilities here to bring together various parts of the organization. And then oftentimes, we're going to use the right-hand column for more supplemental information. And as you'll see in some of the later examples that I'll show, we will use this for more personal information. And you'll notice that that's what's happening here in the My Active items is we're able to pull together those tasks and requests. So if I've submitted tickets, one of the really common reasons people come to the portal is to get ticket status. So what I can do is dive into those requests and see a combination of incidents and requests, HR cases. We can get a consolidated list of what's going on for that particular employee and make it very easy for them to get more information about what's going on with their case. And this is very similar to what you would get with a shopping site. You're always interested in, what's the status of my order? When is it going to be delivered? Employees are no different. They want that status along the way. So we can provide a nice summary of what was requested. We can go in, give them more details, allow them to interact with the agents that are fulfilling those requests and cases. So all of that is easily available and kind of default functionality. And then back on the home page, we can bring together events. So if various departments are hosting physical and virtual events, those can be promoted on the portal as well. So from a visual standpoint, we've kind of walked through some of the features on the home page. But again, going back to the importance of the taxonomy, about 50% of your employees are going to prefer to search, and the other 50% are going to prefer browsing. So we want to make sure that we give them a great taxonomy. And here you'll see the nice mega menu that was introduced with the Employee Center. And we have both topical pages as well as subtopical pages. And then we have some quick links over here. But I want to first journey down into the HR landing page. And oftentimes, as you're incorporating new areas of the business, they'll want their own landing page so they can do a little bit of branding and they can have a space that is really focused on their particular area. And ServiceNow allows us to have a nice branding image up here. We can have our subtopics. If you have quite a few, those can be expanded. And all of these are really speaking the employee's language. We want these to be less about how service providers talk about these topics and much more about how employees think about these topics when they're trying to find support. As we go down, you're going to see a mix of articles and catalog items in this section. And essentially at this level of the hierarchy, we're floating up all of the content from the subtopics. Now, employees could browse through here, but oftentimes what they're going to do is they're going to filter by going down the next level of the hierarchy. And again, we can brand these topics. We can offer as many levels as is necessary to really structure that journey. And oftentimes we do want to gradually guide them down into more specific areas. That gives us the ability to limit the amount of content that they have to kind of process at any given level. And at this level, you'll see that we do have fewer options, and I can apply some filtering here. Let's say that I do want to explore some self-service options. I can just look at the articles. So those articles can be featured, and I'll show you in a second how we can feature certain content. And then if I do want to submit a request, I can then filter for just the catalog items here. Of course, we have some different visualization options. It may be easier for me to scan through a long list if I put it in the list view. And you'll notice that we don't have a lot of iconography for these items. I would encourage you for your catalog items to use iconography. That does have a big impact on the scannability and the ability to target certain things that people are looking for. And again, at each one of these levels, we can pull together quick links and applications that are relevant for that particular area. All right. So this is the front end. Let's talk a little bit about how you're going to build this taxonomy on the back end. And right before I do that, I want to talk about just another example here where we've structured the IT information. Visually, it looks very similar to the HR side, where we have the main topics up here, the subtopics, and then we have some applications and quick links over here. So this is what you're going to have to think about as you bring together different parts of the organization. How do the employees really think about these areas? How are they going to engage with those service providers? Also keep in mind that we do have limited space here. While the mega menu is very flexible, you want to think that on each level of the hierarchy, you want to limit those options. Usually 7 to 9 options at any given level is optimal for a user to be able to process that efficiently and to target what they're going to do next. Let me switch over to the back end of ServiceNow, where I've called up the taxonomy. I can just type in taxonomy here, and we have a whole section. The demo data includes this employee taxonomy that we're using on the portal. If I dive down in here, one thing to keep in mind is that you can have multiple taxonomies for multiple portals or multiple parts of the portal. All of those are well supported. For any given taxonomy, you can have a set of users that would be designated as managers of that taxonomy. They'll be able to control what the hierarchy is, what new topics are there, what's being featured. So really all of the content management that you would expect. And then the contributors are also a group of individuals that would be able to contribute topics and maintain content for aspects of the taxonomy. At this level, we're seeing the top level of that taxonomy. We have HR, risk, and compliance here. Let's go back into that HR category, that topic. And again, in typical ServiceNow fashion, it's all very much metadata driven. We're just filling out some forms here, uploading some icons and some banner images to give that visual feel and kind of a tone to the page. And then the real action is down here in the related links. This is where we're going to relate catalog items and knowledge articles. We're going to create the next level down in the hierarchy. This is also where we can feature content, where we can call out different things that are going to float to the top of the list. We can specify the quick links and the applications. All of those can be done at each level of the taxonomy. You don't have to use everything all the time, but you do want to keep in mind that those features are available. Let's dive into the benefits topic as just an example of what you can do. This particular topic has a combination of knowledge articles and catalog items That's what we saw on that homepage on the portal. And then, of course, we can have the next level down. Those things can be ordered. So if you do want a specific order to those subtopics, then that's what's going to show along the top of the page. And then here we featured one of those knowledge articles, and that got that featured flag on that topic page. If I go back here, so we're on the benefits page, and I go back to all, you'll notice that we have the feature flag there, and that's how those featured items get displayed on the front end. Quick links, those can be surfaced on the portal, and then we have that application link as well. Oftentimes in large organizations, you are going to have an ecosystem of applications for employees to help get their job done, and being able to pull the relevant application into that experience and make it very easy to get to that other application to get the task done. It's hugely important. As much as we like to consolidate things on ServiceNow, it does take a family to get everything done, and you want to make it as easy as possible to go to the portal and then get to that other site. In fact, we had a client that a big part of the reason employees were coming to the portal was just to link out to other sites. So this is a very important feature. All right, so that is a quick overview of some of the basics around Employee Center. We could spend a lot more time going through each of the features and talking about, particularly in the HR area, how that can be surfaced here. But if you do have questions about any of the functionality that you see in Employee Center here, or other possibilities, then please put those in the chat and I'll address them toward the end. So as I mentioned earlier, the Service Portal Framework gives us a lot of flexibility. And as you can see here, we can impact the branding, the layout, the navigation, and the functionality. Most importantly, we can do all of this in a way that limits our technical debt and maintains our agility. And after we establish if or how much a client's goals drive them beyond what they get with Service Center, with Employee Center out of the box, we can formulate the best implementation approach. And while there are many implementation best practices, I'll mention just a couple of them here. Often you gain a lot more flexibility and you reduce technical debt when you simply set up a portal in parallel to what ServiceNow provides. And this new scoped application becomes a sandbox for you. You're free to make changes to the sandbox portal while you're still reusing what ServiceNow provides in its other portals. So with this approach, you can easily see what changes when ServiceNow makes updates during an upgrade, and you have control over what you're going to bring over into your portal and when you're going to do that. And then, of course, for the features that you've already incorporated into your portal, those are simply updated in place. So it really gives you the best of both worlds, where you have that flexibility, but you're able to incorporate standard features. The other best practice that I'd like to offer is that you shouldn't clone complicated widgets. Now, I'm not saying don't clone widgets or don't create your own widgets. I'm saying that when you clone a complicated widget that ServiceNow has provided, you're really on the hook for evaluating that widget during upgrades, and you're really on the hook for maintaining that widget as the functionality changes. So that said, there are many opportunities to augment the user experience in a very safe way. You just need to know what you're signing up for. So let's take a look at some of the other examples of what we can do. And before I do that, I do want to answer one of the audience questions, which is around, does ServiceNow have integrations with HR systems like Oracle and Workday? Absolutely. One of ServiceNow's really shining areas is its integration capabilities. And over the years, they've expanded that, definitely as they get into HR. they understand that ServiceNow has to play well with HRIS systems. So there's standard integrations for each of those. And quite often we've worked with Workday integrations. Okay, so back to the slides here. We're going to take a look at one example here. And as you're thinking about augmenting what ServiceNow delivers with Employee Center, you can start by adding branding and minor enhancements. What you're seeing here is we've obviously applied the client's branding. We've adjusted how announcements and alerts are being shown there in the banner area. We've made some modifications to what's being shown on that homepage. We do have common topics and trending topics. We have some recommendations. Those are all pretty standard, but along that right-hand side, we're displaying alerts, and we've changed how people are going to get to ticket status and approvals. We've added contact information. So those are fairly minor changes, but they have a big impact on what that employee's experience is going to be on that portal. Then looking at the next page over, this is a topical page. And again, we've pulled that branding through. We have those quick links, and we've pulled that branding into the subtopical page on the right. So this is how you can make those minor enhancements to Employee Center to have something that feels very custom for your organization. The next step is usually around adding even more personalization and getting quicker access to items of interest. With this particular client, we're again focusing that right-hand column on things that are very personal to that particular employee. With the greeting, we've integrated time and attendance information. We're pulling in events that are maybe of interest to them, and then we're giving them access to ticket status and favorites. And then that's great for the homepage, but we also want to make it easy to get to approvals and ticket status from anywhere in the portal. So when they click on my items in the header, a panel comes in from the side, and they're able to very quickly get to all of that information from any page. And this is a slightly more significant enhancement, but it really encourages that personalization and that quick access. Yet another thing that you can consider as you're thinking through the experience that you want to deliver is how you can adjust the content priority. In this example, what we've done is played with the layout. We've played with some visual elements to have the user interact and call attention to different areas. Here on the home page, we're using kind of a grid layout to call their attention to the search and then to the campaign content. And then as you go lower down the page, we're emphasizing that self-service option. How do I do X? And they're able to get support. And then lower down the page, we're using those graphical elements to call their attention to popular requests. On the right-hand column, we're using expandable sections to really emphasize that these are secondary areas. We want their visual interest to first be on the main column, and then if they need to do approvals or ticket status, then they can do that with the right-hand column. On the departmental page, here we're looking at the People Solutions page. We've adjusted the content priority. In this case, we've pulled the categories and the suggested catalog items higher on the page. So that's really where the emphasis is. They're more likely to be there to submit a request than to simply self-serve. So that's a discussion that we have with the client, and therefore we've adjusted that content priority. And again, we've made that right-hand column consistent for easy access as they go through any of the home pages, any of the landing pages within the portal. And then as we go deeper into a particular subject area, again, we can use UI treatment to change the content priority. In this case, we're really emphasizing the suggested requests because we've used iconography, we've changed the background color, the size of that section makes it where that focal point is. but we do have that secondary content for the subcategories and the knowledge articles. So just a few ideas about how you can play with the content priority to change the experience. And then probably the most advanced thing you can do is simply add features that aren't typical with what ServiceNow provides out of the box. A lot of our clients are now treating applications and software as really topics in and of themselves. So they get individual pages with a lot of featured information, knowledge articles, policies, and catalog items as really a landing page to better support the organization using that application. Another thing that we've done quite often is make favorites very easy to access and manageable. So in this case, again, we have a panel that slides in from the right. They're able to use those favorites. They can reorder them, manage them, all within that pane from anywhere within the portal. Another trend that we're seeing is having a dedicated policy section. So instead of having the policies kind of scattered throughout the taxonomy, there's a dedicated section to get all the information that you need on policies. And this could be simply a landing page with links to the relevant information. And then another feature as clients are expanding their use of the portal is really looking at employee directories, location directories, those types of things, being able to pull together more and more information, what people are trying to get when they come to the portal and they want that holistic experience. So now that you have some insight into the creation of a seamless portal, I'd like to suggest a few very specific things that you can do next. And the first step is to really assess where you are today. You want to uncover information about a few things. How much traffic are you getting today? What kinds of traffic? Where's the road bumpy? Where is it smooth? Where are the potholes? Where are the bottlenecks? And to do all of that, this is going to involve several activities. Probably the easiest would be to analyze usage of your existing portal, whether that's in ServiceNow or elsewhere. And you can also conduct a satisfaction survey to collect more qualitative information from the employees. Focus groups are another great way to get a deeper insight into input, what's working, what's not working, and that feedback is really valuable as you're incorporating changes. And of course, New Rocket can help with these activities. We do offer a portal evaluation that gives you very specific recommendations based on your particular situation. So after gaining more insight into your current situation, you should really plan your journey to that next destination. And this is where you'll need to establish your operational and your usability goals, decide which areas are going to be covered in the portal and when they're going to be rolled out. And ideally, this is where you should conduct that design phase where you visualize the experience. And this is a great way to rapidly test ideas before you implement them. Another really crucial part of the plan is preparing that initial taxonomy. And again, this is an area where New Rocket can help you. So with that, it's time to get on the road. If you haven't done it already, please upgrade to Rome or San Diego so you can take advantage of the great capabilities that ServiceNow's added. And if you are upgrading, then please remember that Employee Center needs to be downloaded from the ServiceNow store. It's not enabled by default. It's an easy transition, but it is one extra step that you have to take. Once you do have access to Employee Center, you can start analyzing where the gaps are between Employee Center and where you want your portal to be. So the road you've paved with your current solution may be less than smooth, but you have an opportunity more than ever to put that in the rearview mirror. And your employees and your providers really deserve an efficient and engaging experience, an experience built to deliver essential benefits and to help you reach your goals in record time. Well, I certainly appreciate your time today. I'm hoping that you got some inspiration and some information that's going to allow you to move forward and create that seamless experience that everyone deserves. And with that, I wish you a good day and good evening. We'll talk to you next time.